Hey, welcome back to my channel, and this is a sound off on the Braxtons. So last episode, we all saw how Tamar carried on like she normally does, and in true Tamar fashion. But it's really funny how when Tamar takes herself out the equation, how you get to see everyone else's shortcomings and everyone else's flaws. Now, Towanda sat there quietly and very stoic and was like, look, I respect people's boundaries. I respect where people are, this, that, and the third. And I'm just going to respect everyone. And da-da-da-da-da. And Tamar was hooting and hollering, and she made herself look crazy. But this episode where Tamar was not, with the rest of the sisters, we got to really see some of the things that she was saying about Towanda. So in episode 3, I was really looking at Towanda with the side eye. Trina too, but we're going to get to her. Now, I appreciate, everyone looking out for little Kevin because Tracy is not here to do so. So I appreciate it, but I feel like Towanda was laying it on a little thick this episode. The last episode too, but this episode you got to really see it because Tamar wasn't around. Starting with the nicknames. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I definitely caught it. She was calling little Kevin Scratchy this episode. Now, okay, if that's what you call him, that's what you call your nephew. That ain't really too much of our business, right? But you ain't never called him that before. We never heard this nickname before. Her own son called her out and was like, I don't know that nickname for him. And she was like, I've always called him that. But why your son don't know that? Why your son was looking at you crazy like, what are you talking about, Mom? And I know I was looking at her crazy like, you're doing the most. It really feels like you're doing the most. You're being extra. And I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it anyways because why not? It almost feels like it gets under Tamar's skin that she's not as included. And you're doing extra. Like I said, I appreciate that they're trying to step up and be there for little Kevin, but it just feels forced. It doesn't feel genuine. I didn't want to say nothing last episode, but I'm going to say it this episode. They were acting as if Towanda was the only person that could talk to Kevin, like she was the one that was going to jump in and rescue him. He got arrested. You didn't jump on the plane and run to Maryland to go see about Kevin, right? Not that I would really expect her to do so. We're forgetting that even though, yes, Kevin is in a situation, but Kevin still has a living parent, okay? Kevin still has his father, Big Kevin. And I cannot imagine that Big Kevin will let his son sit in jail and not try to help. Unless there's more to the story that we don't know. But I just don't believe that a father would leave his son in that situation. I just don't believe it. And for maybe the off chance that he, maybe he would do that. I don't know. They have their father in Maryland. Their father lives there. Uncle Mikey lives there. And Mikey and Tracy were very, very close. I doubt that Mikey would leave his nephew in jail and not go see about him or not try to help or do something. I mean, let's just be honest. Their whole family lives in Maryland. And not just the Braxton family, his father's side of the family. They all live out there. Like, they have people out there. They have friends. They have all types of resources out there. And maybe he's not, comfortable reaching out to everyone. But Towanda is not his first point of contact. I just refuse to believe that. So with that said, I was looking at Towanda with the side eye when she was like, oh, I can't get in touch with him. I've been calling him. I can't get him. I don't know what to do. And then they say that one of the producers reached out to their dad in order to get in touch with little Kevin. You didn't think to do that, Towanda? You got all the answers, Sway. You didn't think to call your dad and say, Dad, hey, what's going on your end? What do you guys know? What's happening? You didn't think to call your brother to see if maybe he might know something? You and Trina with your partners are flying out to Maryland to go see about him, which I'm fine with because I know, like, speaking from a young person who lost both their parents, I be needing my aunts and uncles to pop up on me from time to time. I need it. I love the distraction. I love it. They don't even know how much I love it when they do. But, so I don't find a problem with Towanda, and Trina going out to see little Kevin. I feel a little ways about them bringing their spouses, but that's not my business. But I also feel like you're doing it and you're kind of rubbing it in Tamar's face. Like, hey, we're closer to little Kevin than you are. I really feel like Towanda she does little things like that. And she knows that if Tamar says something about it, that's just going to make Tamar look like the bad person. So it's like, Towanda, you do little slick stuff. We know, we see you. You are not low, girl. You're not low. And that brings me to my next point. Okay, little Kevin isn't comfortable enough reaching out to Tony and Tamar and Grandma, but because he don't want them in his business like that. But he wants Tawanda's man and Trina's husband in his business. Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. So let's move on to Trina. I don't know if y'all know this, but Trina is probably my favorite Braxton sister out of the bunch. I just enjoy her. She's so cute to me. I like her personality. I love how she's different from everyone, and she's so unbothered by what they have to say. Like, she could care less if y'all make fun of her and how she says house. She does not care. She's like, house? She doesn't care nothing about that. And I love Trina. Like, I think she's just a free spirit, and she just sparkles in her own way. I love that about her. But I'm going to tap on Trina's wig a little bit. Seeing her go to therapy, I definitely felt really bad for Trina. What I didn't get to say in the last video was she said, she described everything that she was going through, her PTSD after, watching Tracy take her last breath. And baby, like, everything she was saying, I resonated. I understood where she was coming from with all of that. But I was wondering, she never really mentioned her husband. Because I was like, if all you do is stay up till like 6 a.m, like, how does that really work when you have a spouse? Like, does he work in the home? Does he work outside the home? Like, when you're up, is he sleeping in a room alone? Like, how does that work? I was really curious about that. And so we learned in this episode that basically she doesn't have her husband to lean on. She feels, somewhat hesitant to even tell him what she's going through because she's afraid that he will punish her for her grief. If you guys were watching Braxton Family Values, then a couple years ago, Trina's second husband passed away suddenly from cancer as well. And it was like she had literally just found out about it, and it wasn't long and he passed. And Trina and her second husband, they had a rocky time, but she really loved that man. She loved him a whole lot. He raised her kids. Those were not his children, but he raised them. And that meant a lot to Trina. She was on an episode, was it Iyanla? I think she went on Iyanla with him after they had divorced. And they were saying how even though they were a divorced couple, they were still very, very, very close. He had even went to spend some time at her house, in her guest house. Like, she still very much was in love with him. She was like, this is my best friend that I just cannot be married to anymore. And, we're not together, but I really love him and he loves me. And I used to see the back and forth, the exchanges that they would have on social media after they were divorced. And it was like, damn, they seem to be getting along better apart than when they were married. And I always feel like things happen for a reason. It may not make sense to us, but God has a funny way of, making things be. And it was like, maybe he knew that Gabe was getting ready to leave this world and they couldn't be together, because we saw how devastated Trina was, when he passed. She would have been 10 times worse if they were still married, so everything happens for a reason. It don't make sense to us sometimes while we're going through it. But, after everything has settled, sometimes some kind of clarity is there. And like I said, Trina really loved that man. So to hear that her current husband took so much issue with her grieving Gabe, that didn't sit well with me. I know he said something about it on the last show before he proposed to Trina. He made a little off-colored comment. But I didn't think that we would be sitting here how many years later and he would still be talking crazy. I was very put off by him. to hear her use the word punished, that he would punish her for her grieving her ex and grieving her sister, that bothered me. I was just like, what? That is supposed to be your support, your rock. And he punishes you because you have a natural human emotion to someone's passing away. I didn't like that. And I was just like, damn, Trina. Girl. I don't know. Like, punished? And the thing is, I do believe her. I've seen a couple of their interactions, and they always make me feel uneasy. And it's not my business, it's not my marriage. But if we have to watch it, we get to have an opinion about it. And my opinion is cringe. He always gives very much cringe. Right before this new show premiered, I watched one of their lives because they cook on Instagram Live and I think TikTok or whatever. And I was watching one of their episodes. Now, I think I've watched it before, but I never watched the entire episode. But I watched an entire episode not too long ago, before the show started. And it did get very much that he was very controlling. He was very much like a parent to her, not a partner. I hope Trina don't ever come across one of my videos and start to hate me, because I'm about to be real honest in this video. But yeah, I really didn't like how he was speaking to her or to Wanda in the video. I didn't like it. And then for him, for her to say she was punished. I do remember when they went to the Napa trip right before he proposed to her. He said something like, oh, I could understand if she was grieving her father or her brother, but for her to be grieving her ex and I'm supposed to console you. He said something slick and I just didn't like it, because it was like she spent a good portion of her adult life with this man. He helped raise her children. She's not allowed to feel sad that the man died. He died. How can you feel jealous of someone who's dead? He's gone. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. The impression that man left on me is he just was happy that he bagged Toni Braxton's sister. I don't see the love. I don't see the love at all. I don't like it. I don't like it. But I mean, Trina, girl, that's show business, I don't know y'all like that in real life. So who am I? But that's just how it landed on me watching what I watched. So with all of that to be said, that's my thing right here. This is how I feel. I don't really understand, because Trina made a comment like, despite what I think of Tracy's husband as a person, Trina, you shouldn't have no thoughts on Tracy's husband as a person when the person you married to won't even allow you to grieve in peace. You afraid to grieve your sister and your ex-husband in peace because he punishes you. You, as a grown woman, said you felt punished by your husband, your partner, because you were grieving someone's loss, a loss of a life. And then you got the nerve to be feeling some kind of way about Tracy's husband. Nah, you need to keep that energy for your own husband. You shouldn't have no energy for Tracy's husband. And I don't want to defend a man. I hate defending men because men will embarrass you. And I don't really know none of y'all, right? But for you to say, despite how I think of him as a person, I don't know. Maybe that man really did something that we just do not know nothing about, And if he did that. And I'm not defending that because I don't know nothing about it. But what I will say is you ain't really got no right to be feeling no kind of way about this man when the man you're laying next to is treating you. I don't even know what to say. He's treating you like. It's just ridiculous. How can you be afraid to fully grieve your sister's loss? She lost her life and you are upset about it and you are sad, but you can't allow yourself to feel what you feel because you are afraid that your husband will punish you. And then you want to talk about Tracy's husband? I'm going to need you to not do that. Yeah, I ain't really mean to come for your edges like that, Trina, but you tried it. I felt so bad for you this episode. I felt so bad. I felt like I didn't feel good about what Trina was going through. And I also didn't feel good about a lot of the viewers were jumping on Miss Evelyns' neck, saying that it's her fault how her daughters are the way that they're so dysfunctional. And to be real honest, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really feel good about everyone blaming Miss Evelyn because I don't think it's her fault. Like, she might have a hand in it. It's like, okay, when she yells at her daughters and tells them to stop it, y'all don't like it. When she doesn't say anything and try to let them figure it out themselves, y'all don't like that. So what do you want the woman to do? She's only human. No mother, like, I couldn't imagine having 6 kids and they don't love each other and they're not each other's best friends. I would want them to be super close because you do not understand the gift of a sibling until after you lose your parents. I don't think you fully understand the gift of a sibling until after you lose your parents. And you look at them and you're like, dang, we only have each other. Only you and I know what it feels like to lose our mother. Like, you don't really know. So if I was her at her age, you damn right I want my children to be close. You damn right I want my kids to depend on each other and to love on each other. I mean, I saw a lot of people saying, oh, they don't need to be that close and they shouldn't be needing on each other so much and all that other stuff. And I thought that was foolishness. It annoys me every time I see Tamar's boyfriend, the Colonel. Like, he get on my nerves with his weird bang. I cannot stand his face. He has embarrassed Tamar publicly how many different ways? Vince ain't never did none of this. African man ain't never did none of this. Where you come from playing in Tamar's face the way you've been playing in her face? But she apologizes to him publicly. She forgives him publicly. But you can't forgive Towanda. You can't forgive your sisters. But you gonna forgive Colonel Sanders? I don't like that. And if I was Miss Evelyn, I would cuss them out too, because y'all need to get it together. Y'all already lost a sister. I will never forget when they were with TD Jakes. And TD Jakes is like, are you guys going to wait till one of you die and you're standing over your sister looking at her in a casket? Is that when you're going to forgive your sister? And isn't that what happened? That will always like make me feel away. So I don't know. I don't get it. We forgive these men. We forgive these men when they dog us and they do all types of stuff to us. You gonna forgive a man, but you're not gonna forgive a sister? Because what y'all are fighting about really ain't that deep. Towanda and Tamar are exactly the same. They both do the same stuff. The only difference is Tamar's antics are way more loud. Tawanda's antics are way more subtle. But y'all do the same thing. Tamar doesn't like the fact that the rest of the family kind of lets Towanda get away with things. And Towanda doesn't like the fact that the public sides with Tamar or they egg her on her antics. But y'all not really fighting over nothing that's important. So I don't blame Miss Evelyn for going off on them. I really don't. That is not a real reason to stay away from your sister. Now, if your sister abused you or allowed someone else to abuse you, now that's a different thing. But from what they've shown to us, that ain't happening. So I don't understand why they can't get it together either. Honestly, I really feel like 80% of their issues is this show, is fame. Yeah, I really think it is. If Towanda could stop trying to produce scenes and Tamar can stop trying to embarrass her sisters on this show, I feel like they could get along. I feel like they could really get it together. Everyone is saying, oh, Towanda just she loves Tamar, but she doesn't like Tamar. I don't agree with that. I think Towanda acts just like Tamar. I think before they got on the show, she used to encourage Tamar's antics. She just didn't like when Tamar started, doing the antics towards her. When Tamar would talk about Trina and her husband and Tracy and her husband and Tony and her ex-husband, I think Towanda was all the way here for it. I think Towanda used to join in along with Tamar. But when Tamar got on TV and spoke about Andre, that's where everything changed for Towanda. She ain't like that. She didn't like to be a part of the joke. That's what I really believe. But when people are like, oh, she don't like her, I think she loves Tamar. They're exactly the same. You didn't see how Towanda, when she called Tony, she was basically making fun of Tony. And when Tony said something, she was like, oh, no, don't say that. Don't say that. It's the same thing that Tamar does. They're exactly the same. The only difference is Tamar is loud and Towanda is more subtle. They are exactly the same. They are two sides of the same coin. And I done told y'all already, Towanda was with it until Tamar started clowning her. And now she don't like it. But if you watch, Towanda has clowned her sisters many of times. Which brings me to the whole situation with them not liking Tracy's husband. Everyone keeps bringing up how Tracy's husband had a baby on her. And I can't be too sure because, like I said, I don't know these people for real like that. I really don't. But I do remember, y'all know how WeTV does. Like, they will air about 8 to 10 episodes, take a hiatus without saying anything, and then come back with the additional episodes. And that will count as one season. And I remember whatever season that was, where Towanda said she heard that Tracy's husband had a baby on her. And then, of course, there was no more episodes for about a month or two. And then, boom, they came back with new episodes. When they came back with new episodes, Tracy filmed a scene with her husband, and her husband denied it. He said he had no baby out there. The only baby they could have possibly seen him with was his daughter's son, his grandson. He said, but I ain't got no babies out there. He made that very clear. And then Tracy went to her sisters and she wanted an apology because, you know, they do too much. And I think eventually Tamar gave an apology. When she went to Towanda looking for an apology, Towanda was like, you'll be getting no apology from me. And then Tracy even told her, well, you hurt little Kevin. You hurt my son. She said, oh, he's a big boy. He'll get over it. Which makes it even more crazy how now she's acting like she's just little Kevin's best auntie in the whole world. I remember that. So many people who watch the show do not remember that. So many people have taken it and ran with it that Tracy's husband had a baby on her, and that's the reason why the sisters don't like him. And like I said, from what I remember, he cleared that up, and he said that is not the case. Even I think people are getting confused that his other grandson from little Kevin, K3, is his son. No, that is his grandson. But it's so crazy how someone can say something about you and then people just take it and run with it. The retraction is never as loud as the accusation. But yeah, this video is starting to get a little too bit long. But like I said, Towanda ain't innocent. And I don't say this because I want to jump on Tawanda's head, but Towanda is not innocent. And like I said, when Tamar is not around, you get to see a lot clearer view of how Towanda does things, and it's not all good. It really isn't, because y'all ain't gonna never forget how Tracy had to cuss her out in Napa Valley. She told her about herself. But you know, that's all I really wanted to say about this episode. Like, you know, I love Trina. That is my girl, but I had to let her know a little bit. She was out of order. You can't be putting your mouth on Tracy's husband when your husband isn't even trying to console you and help you through. He's not holding your hand through a tough, crazy moment. But you want the honor of being called someone's husband. Girl, I guess if that's what a husband is, girl, you can have that. I don't know about it. But yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.